So, France has a new president, Emmanuel Macron. He knows a bit about money. He used to be a banker with Rothschilds. He also used to be the economy minister here in France, did he not?
Yeah, he knows how to make it.
For a year, something like that?
About a year. He knows how to make money,
Okay.
but can he spend it?
Exactly. And he has some radical policies to shake up this country's economy. We're going to be talking about that in just a moment. But first, let's look at the challenges ahead with Arabella Munro.
For many French voters, this election was more about defeating the far right. And this is the man France has chosen.
Je vous servirai au nom de notre devise.
I will serve you by remaining true to the Republic's principles of liberty, equality and fraternity.
Emmanuel Macron, a millionaire former banker who has never before been elected to office. The head of a movement born just a year ago, and who'll be the youngest leader of France since Napoleon Bonaparte. He walked into his victory party at the Louvre to the European Union's anthem, Beethoven's Ode to Joy. Supporters brandished EU flags alongside the tricolour, an audible and visual demonstration of Macron's commitment to the European project and the free market that comes with it.
Emmanuel Macron carries the hope of millions of French people, and also many in Germany and across Europe. He led a courageous pro-European campaign and stands for openness to the world and decisively for the social market economy.
Macron will have to boost French growth after years of economic stagnation and reduce unemployment, which is currently above 10%. He plans to cut public spending and relax labour laws. France spent 57% of its GDP on the public sector in 2015. That's one of the highest rates in the world.
The French illness is massive. You can't just apply makeup to the face of the French economy. A serious operation of the brain and the heart is required. Reforms hurt, and it's clear that a lot of people in France won't be amused about reforms. We know that the 35-hour work week is holy, but that would have to be abolished. It simply fits no longer into today's global times.
But before he can get to work on that, he'll need to try and get a parliamentary majority for his newborn movement En Marche, or On the Move, in elections next month.
The only thing a president can do, a president has no power on companies. We live in a free enterprise economy, and happily, fortunately. But Macron can be the one who creates a new atmosphere.
While this is a reprieve for the European Union, a third of voters checked Marine Le Pen on their ballots. And if Emmanuel Macron doesn't come through on his promises to heal divisions, improve unemployment and boost growth, she'll be waiting to take his place in 5 years' time. Arabella Munro, TRT World.
Well, there you go, Craig. A pretty good summary of the challenges facing Emmanuel Macron. Let's give you a real softball question. Is that right? Softball? Is that the metaphor? Okay, or a low ball? I don't know what it is. Anyway, it's a meatball I'm chucking at you. It's simple. You've been here for 27 years, unlucky for the French, but still, you've come to see the presidents coming and going for all that time. Is there genuinely an expectation now that Emmanuel Macron can really push this economy forward?
Yes, there is an expectation. But can he jettison the economic and political policies of the past 60 years and launch France into a future? He's got a lot of problems up there in the Élysée Palace and in the National Assembly. He's also got problems because 34% of the public voted for Le Pen. He's got problems with the unions because they just don't want any of these policies. He's got problems with Mélenchon, the New Age communists and socialists and whoever else they want to put together.
He did pretty well, didn't he, in the first round?
Did very well. So he has got a lot on the table. And let's not forget, he's juggling two things at once. He's got domestics and he's got Brussels.
Now, he says he wants to make France successful and that the people voted for him because he's got these labour reforms in mind, for example, even though some on the left say it's absolutely diabolical. He's going to be changing the French essence, if you like, you know, how they work. Tell us more about that.
Well, the French are locked into certain structures in their labor laws, such as the work week, such as work contracts, which we'll talk about later. This is what Ross Perot called the devil being in the details of changing this country. Can he do it? Are people going to go along with him? Now, the oddity, the irony, this is a very rich country. It's a very wealthy country. It has a lot of talent, but it's in the big industries, most of which are, guess what? Large percentage controlled by the state. It's called mercantilism.
So they want to move that away towards the private sector. Has to, right?
He has to. You also need to look at, what are we looking at? 56% of the GDP in this country is generated by the
state,
government.
Right?
Yeah, by the state.
Who aren't known for their entrepreneurial skills, and we will be speaking to an entrepreneur in a few minutes' time. Let me ask you specifically about the 35-hour working week. Macron is saying that he'd like to do away with that for young people because they have the energy and the ambition to do better than that.
Yeah, and they need to do it.
Good idea?
Yes, work as long as you want. But if that happens, then the unions are going to come in and start organizing and negotiating for how much more money should they get if you work for over 35 hours a week. That is not entrepreneurial. That is not disruptive. The problem with France has been, it has never been a disruptive economy. It's been a big bone, big bore economy. Now they've elected a president who is not only disruptive, he's come in here like the Terminator. And we're going to have to see what happens over the next few months.
But if he wants to be really effective, he has to do really well with the National Assembly elections coming up next month.
Yes. Has to. He has to get minimum probably about 278
look,
seats.
He says he's neither from the left nor the right. He wants to bring together the ideas from both sides, whatever works. Is he really a pragmatist?
The people of France elected him with the hope that he is a pragmatist, that he can do this, because what the French decided more than anything else, at this country has become more of it. It has to change. And the change is with the youth. You look at that youth unemployment figure, which, by the way, a lot of people believe should be 8 or 9 or 10.
We're going to get to that in just a moment. Let me ask you something. A final question, Craig. A lot of people compare him to Tony Blair, France's Tony Blair. And Tony Blair, of course, said he had the scars of the arguments with the unions on his back. Is Macron able to take on the unions? Is that a necessary fight for him?
He has to take on the unions. He has to. There's what is going to happen when that wrestling match starts remains to be seen. Remember, he's already been trashed by the unions up at the Whirlpool plant last week.
That was a mess. Public relations disaster. Craig, thank you so much for your contribution. We are going to take a closer look at unemployment now, around about 10% for the population as a whole. But when you break it down to the youth, you're looking at more like 1 in 4 people unemployed. And for ethnic minorities, it's even worse. Adefemi Akinsanya takes a look.
Some of them might have been celebrating Macron's victory until the early hours. But a quarter of France's 18 to 24-year-olds wouldn't have been waking up to go to work on Monday morning. And 32% of French-born citizens whose parents were born in Africa are even more likely to struggle to secure permanent work. Unemployment is a problem President-elect Macron says he will solve by reviving the domestic economy.
Notre tâche est immense.
Our task is huge and it will require us to build, from tomorrow onwards, a real majority, a strong majority. This majority to carry out change is what the country is hoping for and what the country deserves.
He's already earmarked $50 billion to do so, but it's not clear how that money will trickle down to combat youth unemployment. In a country where the national motto is liberty, equality, and brotherhood, not every French citizen feels included. And it's a similar type of underrepresentation that sparked affirmative action in the US in the 1960s, which encouraged government agencies to ensure qualified people were not denied employment because of their race. African Americans and other minorities were able to benefit from more educational, employment, and training opportunities. But affirmative action is a tough sell in France, where gathering research specifically on race and religion is illegal. The closest France has come to implementing targeted employment policy is with the European Union's 2013 Youth Guarantee, a scheme that ensures all Europeans under the age of 25 are offered quality employment, further education or apprenticeship within 4 years of becoming unemployed or leaving formal education. The EU says the initiative has created jobs for 1.5 million young Europeans. But in France, recent figures suggest an ethnic background does affect employability for young people. And over the next 5 years, Macron has a big job ahead of him to put everyone else to work. Adefemi Akinsanya, TRT World.
Well, joining me now is Bastien Le Coz. Thank you very much for joining us. You are an entrepreneur here in France. Do you remember the time when George Bush said the French don't have a word for entrepreneur?
He was surely wrong. He's not in the picture anymore.
It's your word. Okay, let's see how entrepreneurial you are. What do you do for a business and how many people do you employ?
So I have 15 people that I employ in France, in Paris, and 25 in Asia. I do production of bespoke goods between France and Asia.
And how do you find doing business in this country? What are the challenges?
It actually, just to make things, to tell the truth, it's an amazing country to do business. The last 6 years of business when I created my company have been really amazing to develop companies, and the startup ecosystem has been developing tremendously, so it's great. But we do have a problem. We have too much rules that are blocking us, that are not permitting us.
And does that come from Brussels?
No, not at all. This is the excuse that Marine Le Pen tried to do. It's just the French system that's like this, and we have been creating too many rules, blocking a bit.
Let's talk about some of those rules. Do those rules inhibit companies from hiring more people, in particular young people?
They do, because basically in France, if I can give an example, an entrepreneur is in a car, he has the seat, he has the vision, he knows where he wants to go, but the state is keeping the wheel for him. So he cannot drive the car as he wants. And this is the problem we have. Lots of rules, and particularly on the employment contract, are too tough for young companies to employ.
What's ironic is that those rules are put in place to protect these people, but they actually act as a disincentive because they create apprehension amongst employers who say, if I have to lay out all these benefits, it's going to be too costly for me. Is that right?
That's exactly what happens, but we have a great social system in France. So people are really happy for it. Some people are really happy to work
but not if you don't have a job.
I fully agree with you, but this is the problem. It's hard for me to employ lots of people because I don't know if they don't succeed in 5 months, what I can do with them. This is what is blocking the system, that we don't have enough flexibility, but at least we want to take into account that we have to protect the people.
Are you concerned as an employer then, when you're looking at hiring young people, that if the business climate changes down the road, you'll be stuck with them and you won't be able to get rid of them?
That's exactly the problem. We cannot adapt to what's the situation. Times like this, my business is booming, I want to hire a lot, but I have to know that it maybe won't be like this in 5 months, 6 months, or 1 year.
When Emmanuel Macron was the economy minister, he brought in the so-called Macron laws. Did that help employers?
I don't think. There's too many laws coming every couple of months, and it's too hard for us to really understand which one is helping what, because this is the problem with France. We have too many laws and too many processes in order to have a reduction working or whatever.
Does Macron give you any confidence that he's going to improve things?
I think with his election is a beacon of hope. People are really excited and they want things to change. So this is a really positive and really great...
Well, you're beginning to sound like a politician now. A beacon of hope, and it's very positive. Specifically, what are you hoping Emmanuel Macron will do?
I hope he will give us the wheel back in order for us to drive our car.
We're back to metaphors.
Choose work.
Specifically, do you want Emmanuel Macron to make it easier to hire and fire workers?
Definitely.
Is that important?
I don't want him to. I want him to make it easier to hire people, definitely, and to adapt in case of difficulties. But I also want him to create laws to help people from the suburbs and the countryside to create their own company, because they never have the money to do so, and also to succeed, because today we leave them on the side and we don't really take care of them.
That's very interesting. So he should have a plan in place for the people, the young people especially, who are trapped in poverty in the banlieue, in the suburbs. And what would that look like, do you think? Just additional loans or support?
It has to be support. When you want to create a company and your parents were wealthy, it's quite easy to create your company. When you come from the suburbs and you want to create your company but you have nothing to help you on day to day, you have to work at night during the day and you cannot have time to create your company. This is a really important point, creating a loan with no interest for youth who are creating their companies after school, but also like opening networks for them. Those people in the countryside and in the suburb, they have no idea the possibility they have.
Just one last question then before we go. He was a Rothschild's banker. He was an economy minister. He's a very intellectual person. Does he have any attachment? Does he have any experience of dealing with people at that end of the scale?
This is what worries me the most. Does he have
empathy?
This is what worries me the most. I think he has empathy. He showed it during his campaign. What worries me the most is that he didn't talk so much and propose so many things for the people in the suburbs, at the countryside, those young people. And I'm quite worried about this, and I'm really waiting for him, like all the entrepreneurs, on this specific subject.
Bastien Le Coz, thank you so much for your insight there. Well, that is all for this special edition of Money Talks from Paris.